Hello, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? And thank you for joining us today on this nice sunny afternoon to our webinar, the Situational Leadership. I'm Line Tim Chung, A-16 Global Leadership Team Coordinator. I also have the honor of serving as the immediate past Council Chair of Multiple District A. And today I have our incoming First Vice District Governor, Line Barry McDonald, joining us today.
Hi, everybody.
Together we will share with you our experiences in the subject, situational leadership. Well, it's interesting to find that both of us, Barry and I, work in the information technology industry. Well, I'm retired now after some 30 years working in the industry, and Line Barry is still running his own business. And funny enough that at one point in time, I was working in a similar business area as he is doing now. And we called it Business Recovery Services, BRS, at that time. And now I guess it is being called Business Continuity. Right, Barry?
Yeah, business continuity, crisis management, risk management, all of those things.
Yeah, and I know that you have been busy talking to your clients these days on how to cope with the impacts of COVID-19 to businesses. And now,
Absolutely.
and now on reopening the businesses again. So thank you very much, Line Barry, for spending time to speak to us today.
My pleasure.
Now, for those who are attending, you can get connected with us during this webinar. And just so you know, this webinar is being recorded. And you can ask questions or share your comments by clicking on the question mark bubble on the control panel or the chat box bubble, or you can raise your hand and we'll try to acknowledge you as much as we can. But just in case if we are not able to answer all your questions during the session because of time or because we are not able to get to you, we try to address your questions via email after the session. And you may be asked to respond to polls just to get some of your involvement and feedback into the webinar. So at this point in time, maybe we can start with a poll to see from which region that you are coming from in A-16. I hope you are able to see the poll showing on your screen, and I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to punch in your response just to see that the process is working. Oh, good. I'm seeing like 50% of the people responded, about 70% now. Okay, it's doing very well. So here I'm going to close the poll now, and I will share with you the result. Okay, so you can see that we have about 30% of the participants coming from region 18, 20 from 33, 10 and 15 from 45 and 52 respectively. Oh, and then we have 25 of you coming from outside of A-16. So welcome everyone. Now, at this point in time, I'd like to invite our district governor to say a few words.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to all of you for spending this sunny Saturday afternoon with us. I'd also like to applaud each and every one of you for taking the next steps in your leadership development. I'd especially like to thank our GLT coordinator, past council chair Tim Chung, and his team. They've worked very hard in preparation for the Leadership Action Week webinars that we're about to hear this weekend. And as you know, COVID-19 has not stopped the Lions. And that is an amazing feat, I say for sure. I hope you enjoy the webinar. Please stay safe and enjoy situational leadership. I know Tim and Barry have put a lot of work into this, and I know for sure you will get some great tips and information out of this. So enjoy your time, and thank you, Tim, again, and Barry, for taking this on. Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome, and thank you, the Governor Debbie, for joining us today. Okay, So I'd like to share with you the agenda for this afternoon. And I will be first to talk about the situational leadership model. And then Lion Barry will come in to share with us some of the scenarios that how we can deploy different leadership styles against different scenarios. And then we'll take some questions at the end of the sessions. Okay. So at the end of this hour, it is our hope that by giving you the information on situation leadership model, that you will be able to understand the 4 common leadership styles, and then be able to deploy the different styles against different situations in an effective manner. And of course, again, this is not science. This is more like an art versus science. There's no one right or wrong answer to different situations. So we would like to make it a discussion. Of course, in a webinar situation, it probably would be difficult to engage all of you attending. But what we can suggest is while we're going through the materials with you, if you have comments or questions, just type in the question panel. If you look at the control panel, you see that question mark bubble. Just type in your comment and questions. At a certain point in time, we try to share your questions or comments as much as possible. Okay. All right. So what is the situational leadership model? Well, depending on what kind of material that you would be interested to read into, there are different types and different ways of presenting the leadership styles. The one that I put together here is I try to make it simple that, well, there are 4 common leadership styles. Of course, as I said, in real life, the world is a lot more complicated. We have a lot more variables, parameters. But simply put, if we can just nail it down to this 4, then we can just follow through and see whether that makes sense to you. Now, the 4 common type of leadership styles that I have here is the first is a directing or telling style. In a directing style, the leader probably would define all the important elements of a task or a project that he or she is working with, whether it's working with an individual or working with a group. So the leader in this case would probably define all the details on what to do and how to do it. And you can imagine that the communication would probably be coming down from the leader to the people working together with the leader. It's more like a one-way communication. I talk about the direct and telling leadership style. The other one that I have here is coaching and participating. With this leadership style, the leader probably would be engaging the other individual or the group that he or she is working together with. And chances are the leader would still be defining most of the details of what to do, what needs to be done, and how it's being done. But in many of these situations, the leader would get suggestions, feedback from the people that the leader work with. So you can imagine that the communication would be more like a two-way, but the majority of the communication would be from the leader to the group that the leader work together with. The third style I put here is supporting and selling. When a leader is deploying the supporting leadership style, then the leader would allow the group or the people that he or she working with to define what are important, what has to be done to complete a task or finish a project. So most of the details would be defined by the group, but the leader would involve in terms of providing additional information, providing additional directions on where and how to do things. And again, this is more like a two-way communication. And you probably would imagine that under this leadership style, the communication would be more coming from the group to the leader. And of course, as I said, the leader would participate, would involve, and in many of these cases, the leader would be engaged to provide information on some of the whys. Why do we have to do things? Why do we have to do a certain task? And what are the consequences or the results? And what kind of benefits would those results be able to bring to the group? So it's more like a selling in terms of providing them why do we have to do something. The fourth type of leadership styles I have here is delegating. By delegating, the leader would kind of let the group to define all the details of the task or the project, what specific things that they have to look at, what specific action that the group has to do, and the group would define it by themselves. And the leader would get engaged only on a as needed or as required basis. Again, you can imagine that the communication channel probably would be coming more from the group to the leader. So of course, at times, it doesn't mean that the leader is not engaged into the whole process, but maybe at some point in time, the leader would get engaged into providing clarifications, additional information about why we have to do something like this, or why do we have to do something with a certain process in mind. So these are four common leadership styles that we can look at. And then the question is, as I said, there's no one right or wrong styles that we should deploy or we should get involved into. Chances are, if you look at in real life, you probably may be engaging into the whole four different types of leadership styles, but in different situations. So again, the question is, what style to use? Well, the situational leadership model that I'm going to share with you would be based on two important elements on the readiness of the individual or the group that we work with. The two important elements that we look at is, number one, is what is the skill level or the know-how, how competent is the people that we are working together with on a particular task or on a particular project. The second element is how interested, how willing is the individual or the group in participating in the project or in the task. What is the level of commitment? Because if we are dealing with someone who may be new to the environment, new to the project, new to the task, chances are you may need to provide with them more information, more details on what to do, and more details on how to do things. And if someone is not that willing to do, maybe because of many good reasons behind, then you may have to provide more information in getting them in, letting them know why and what are the good things behind of doing something and what is in it for them. So some more selling. So these are the two important elements that we want to put together to look at in terms of the situational leadership model. And again, looking at the readiness of the individual or the group, an effective leader has to understand the readiness of the group or individual in order to work together in an effective manner. Now, the key words here is working together effectively, because at the end of the day, we want to achieve something. We want to do it in a manner that everybody enjoyed, have a positive experience. So it's important for the leader to understand with the people that they are working together or the group that they are working together, do they have the skills or experience of doing something together or doing the project? Or do they want to do this? Now, here I want you to understand that when we hear somebody or when we observe somebody who is not willing to take up a task or who is not willing to join into a project, I would suggest don't take that negatively, because there's a lot of things happening behind on that individual or the group for some good reason that they are not showing the interest. For particular individuals, this could be a family circumstances. And for some individual who are still working, it could be a work situation that would prevent them in participating or giving more time into a certain activities. So over here, we have to understand what is happening around us with the people that we work together with and the group that we are working together with. Are they motivated? Do they have the confidence of accomplishing the task or accomplishing the project? Or they simply are they interested in doing it? So here is an interesting diagram here. I'm borrowing this situational leadership model from two famous leadership development and management consultants and also book writers, Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard. They put together this situational leadership model. And if you look at the chart here, again, they try to put it in a very simple manner that they have two axes over here. The horizontal axis would represent the skill level and the know-how or how competent is the other people or the other group that we are working together with. And it represents the skill level from low to high, from the left to right. And that is the horizontal axis. The vertical axis would represent the level of commitment, the level of willingness, how interested, how committed the individual or the group that we are working together with, again from low to high. And they divided this into four simple quadrants, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's zoom into each individual quadrant, starting with quadrant number 1. It simply represents that the group or the people that we are working together with would display relatively a low skill level on the task or the project that we are working together on. And at the same time, this group of people would demonstrate or display a little bit low in terms of their commitment level, or they are not really interested in it. And again, the idea is if we are working together or we are dealing with individuals or groups with that behaviors, then one way to make it effective to get things done is to deploy the telling or directing leadership style. That means as a leader, you will need to go in to provide a lot of directions, a lot of hand holding, a lot of telling specifics on what to do and how to do things, and maybe doing checkpoints, making sure things are happening according to plan. Now, if we move on to quadrant number 2, on the right hand lower corner, then this group of individuals or group of people that we work with would display a high level of skills. They are capable. They know what they are doing. This could be someone who has been involved in a certain project for a few times, and they are coming back again to work on that project in the committee. So they have the experience, they have the know-how, but somehow they do not display a high level of interest or commitment or willingness in participating in the task or in the project. So if we are dealing with people showing that level of behaviors, then chances are you may need to do a little bit more supporting. You have to go in to participate, to work with them together, and to encourage them, or do some selling by letting them know what are the benefits in completing that task. Say, for example, if your club is running a dog guide, walk for dog guide fundraising program, if if you observed some participating lions who may not know too much about the dog guide program at all, so they may have questioning what happened after all these activities that we put together for a walk and we raise a certain amount of money. What happened to this amount of money? So one way of handling that may be, well, you can invite these lions who may be new to the dog guide program to go visit the Oakville Center, go visit the facilities, so that they know that, oh, there are different types of dog guides being trained, and these dogs are helping people to regain their independence. So these are selling activities that you may require to do in order to show the other individual or the group that the benefits of doing the project. Now let's move on to quadrant number 3. Quadrant number 3 would represent the people that we are working together with, would be showing a high level of interest of trying new things. They are willing to try. They are willing to work on even new projects. But of course, when we say new project, that means they may not be as capable. They may not know a lot about the details involved in it. So when we are dealing with groups like this, chances are the leader would have to provide a lot of coaching. Imagine like if you are working as a coach in a hockey team, and all these players are just picking up the game for the first year or second year. So as a coach, you may have to provide a lot of information, like how to set up a play, what are the basic training, the basic skills that they need to pick up, and then set up the different plays and practice the different plays so that when they are on the ice, and the team will be able to use those plays to score. So that would involve a lot of participation, a lot of coaching activities from the leader to the group. Now, if we move on to quadrant number 4, which is a group that would demonstrate that they know what they are doing, they know the task that they are taking on, and they are capable, and they shows a high level of interest, a high level of willingness to work on the task, to complete the task. And if we are dealing with a group like this, chances are you find yourself would be more effective by delegating the task or the project to the group and let them run the show. Well, of course, by letting them run the show doesn't mean that you as a leader would be disengaged in the whole process. You still have to get engaged with the group, but you allow them the free hand. You allow them to think of what to do and plan out what to do and when to do it and how to do it, and let them execute. And it's like somebody flying a plane on autopilot. You just allow the group to go ahead. And of course, as a leader, you would engage into like maybe taking checkpoints and maybe addressing questions from the group if they have any information that they need or any other important things to clarify with you. So this is a simple model to put together for a leader to look at. Say, as I said, whatever leadership styles that you are practicing, it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. But of course, we have to understand the people that we are working together with. And as I said, at the end of the day, we want to be effective. We want to get things done. And also we want to get it done in a positive manner so that everyone involved will have a positive and enjoyable experience. So I hope this will give you some idea on the different way of interacting with different groups and with different groups who may have different readiness in terms of their know-how and their interest and commitment into any project or any task. Now, again, at this point in time, if you have any questions, I would welcome you to type in any question on the question box. Then we can take a few questions at this point in time. I'm not seeing any questions being typed in over here. Okay, so if not, then why don't we move on? And next up, I will pass the floor to Lion Barry to
Great.
talk about some of the scenarios and about the applications of the different styles against different scenarios. Lion Barry.
Excellent. Thank you, Lion Tim. I'm assuming you either confused them or you did such a great job that they have no questions whatsoever. Actually, the only questions we had were technical questions. And
Yeah,
it was funny because as we went through this presentation, you saw Tim's different leadership styles as we went through, and he was doing a lot of telling and directing when we got to the technical problems, and then as we got into the other part, he was engaging people. I hope I answered everybody's question that you had. If you do have any questions, please type them in, and
right.
Lion Tim and I'll get back to you definitely.
Okay.
Good. All right, you want to go to the next slide there, Tim? Okay, so here we're going to go
Okay.
through some different leadership style, or the different leadership styles that Tim has gone through, and we'll go through some of the different scenarios that we have. One of the things I have been, Tim talked about coaching earlier. I coached for about 13 years, and it's kind of funny because you definitely have to use different leadership styles when you are a coach, because you have different skill levels with boys and girls that are they're trying their very best. Some kids just have natural skills. I tell a story about coaching when I was living in Dallas. The Dallas Stars had just won the Stanley Cup, and there were an awful lot of parents that wanted to learn about hockey. And so the Dallas Stars hired a bunch of us old Canadians to create a league for men and women that wanted to learn the game of hockey and were very anxious, but they had zero levels of skill. So we had teams. On the team that I was coaching, I had I had people from the age of 20 to 64 on them, and their skill levels varied. Some people had never skated before. Some people had skated, but they didn't know how to stop, which was fantastic because we had boards, and that always helped them stop rather quickly.
Yeah.
But you had to use different leadership styles when you were doing coaching and that. So it was a lot of fun. And at the end of the season, at the end of each night, it was kind of neat because we were able to go out and drink with the team. Whereas when I was coaching kids, I couldn't do that with them. So
Oh, you can drink
anyway,
cola.
I could drink a cola. That's true. That's true. Um, one of the skills that I believe an effective leader needs to have is the ability to listen. I never learned one thing while I was talking, but if you listen to people and listen to what they're saying, and if you have questions, try and understand what that question is or where they're coming from with this. Listen to what they're saying. And my wife and I have this conversation all the time. She says, "Did you hear me?" And I said, "Yes, I heard you. I'm just not listening to you." So you must learn to listen and get all of the facts down before you jump to any conclusions. How many times have you been in a meeting, either a Lions meeting or a meeting at work or whatever, and somebody starts to say something and you're already formulating a response before they've even finished speaking? So you're already got your back up, or you want to create a confrontation and you haven't even listened to what they have to say. So I think as leaders, you all need to listen to what is being said and what the person is saying. So let's get into some of these scenarios. So here we've got Lion Sam. Lion Sam had been a Lion for 3 years, and he was in the effective speaking contest committee of the club for 2 years. He had not been actively involved supporting the event. This year, he signed up again as part of the committee. Your club's speaking contest was coming up in 4 months. So, as committee chair of the contest, how would you work with Lion Sam to get him to actively involve and serve in this event? So I hope that everybody wrote down some of those names that Lion Tim went through. Whether they had the skill level or the interest level, because these scenarios are really going to put the people into one of these categories or one of these boxes. So the one thing about Lion Sam is that he definitely has the skill because he's been involved with this, but he really hasn't, picked it up a notch and really taken a leadership role. So this is somebody that you probably are in the selling supporting area, and what you want to do, he's got the skill because he's done it for a while. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that to encourage him to, and I'm assuming Sam is a him, but you want to encourage him to take a more active role, become more involved in the event. So these are some of the things that you need to look at. And one of the things that Tim had mentioned earlier as well is there's no right or wrong in these. That's why you have to listen and see what Sam is actually doing, because it may be something that, he may be really anxious to do it, but he is lacking the skill. Maybe he doesn't really understand what the effective speaking contest is all about. So you need to look at that and say, okay, well, maybe I need to spend more time, and maybe he needs to spend that time learning what the effective speaking contest is about. So that's we look at this as the selling supporting category for Lion Sam. Lion Helen joined your club just over a year ago. As a young professional, she brought in a lot of new energy to the club. She created a new Facebook page for the club to promote club events. She volunteered to be the co-chair of a major fundraising event. for your club. As the other co-chair of the fundraiser for the past 3 years, how would you work with Lion Helen to ensure success of the upcoming fundraiser? Everybody on this call has fundraising events in their club. It's been a little bit challenging over the last 2 to 3 months having a fundraiser. However, there are some clubs that have actually gone out and had very effective fundraising events over the time that we've been in this COVID-19 situation. Some of them have done bottle drives. Some of them have given away, have had tree sales. I think the Stouffville Club had tree sales. So there's different things in fundraising and that, and many of us can actually don't necessarily have to go knocking door to door and be face to face with people. We can do a lot of things online. So Lion Helen, she definitely has an awful lot of skill to do this job, but she probably does not have, or sorry, she's got a lot of willingness to do this job, but she doesn't really understand the skill levels of what's being involved with lions and that, because she's only been a lion for a little over a year. So one of the things that you want to probably help Lion Helen with is to coach her, to become participating in her. She's got a lot of skill, but she just needs to have a little bit of hand holding to get things going with her. And especially if you're the co-chair, you want to make sure that this is a very successful event. The other thing that you also want to do as a co-chair is probably look at maybe next year she can take over running the event, and you can kind of sit back and maybe be one of the committee members. So you want to make sure that you help her get to that level. All right, any questions? Nope. All right.
And Lion Barry, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Since you are the co-chair, then how important do you think that you need to engage Lion Helen into getting to know the process so that she could be a potential chairperson next year? Or if you do it otherwise, then she might lose interest at all because you are doing so good. So she just let you run the show.
Yeah. And I've actually seen this happen in some clubs where they've had different events, and somebody has run an event for a number of years, and everybody just kind of says, "Oh, they do such a great job doing that." But at the end of there comes a point in everybody's Lions life where it's like, okay, I've done this, I've got the T-shirt, I've got the scars. I think somebody else needs to take it over. And so one of the things that you need to do is you need to talk with this individual one-on-one, not so much in a committee gathering, but one-on-one conversation to encourage them to become a lot more involved, and be very upfront with them and say, you know what, I'm looking at stepping down next year from this position. I will be there to support you, but I'm looking at having somebody take on a leadership role and take this in. So let's see if we can get you up to that leadership position this year. Lion Cease. Lion Cease has been an active Lion for many years. He signed up to be the communications and marketing chair for the new Lions year of your club. You knew Lion Cease well from outside of Lions, and you knew he had vast experience in sales and marketing from his work. As the club president, how would you work with Lion Cease to ensure that your club would be doing good promotions of your club and club activities? So Lion Cease, you know him from outside, and I'm pretty sure that we have a number of Lions within our club that we have brought in that we knew from outside of Lions, and we said, you know what, they've got a great skill set. I think we should bring them into the Lions Club because they could really serve. They could really do a lot of service projects. They could also do some fundraising projects. So I think there's a number of us that have brought people in, and you know what their skill levels are from outside. So Lion Cease here, he's got the skills and he's got the willingness to actually do this communications and marketing job. So he is one of the people that you basically are delegating with. he is in the fourth quadrant, and he really is the type of individual that can kind of take on this job, take on this role, and run with it. And you may have to, from time to time, give him some ideas, especially if you are going out and meeting with other clubs. And I think that's something that is really key within our district, is starting to go out and visit different clubs and see how they do different things, because there's many ways of doing different communications and marketing. We have the contests that we've got for the websites and that, and if you go on the 52 different clubs, you'll see 52 different flavors of websites. You'll see some of the e-clubhouse ones, and then you'll see other ones that are fully automated, where people have spent a lot of time and effort putting things into their website. They've spent some money on it and that. So I think it's something that is really important to learn what other clubs are doing and see what they are doing and pick up the good parts that they are doing and bring it back into your club. So Cease here, he is very capable and very committed to doing this job. So he would be in the fourth quadrant called delegating.
Now, Lion Barry, what if I'm
Yep.
a new club president and I came in and I think, oh, there is something that I really want to do for promoting my club and my club activities. And I went in to talk to Lion C and, hey, you should be doing this instead of what you map out in your plan. So what would you say, what would happen if that is the situation?
I would broach Lion Cease with a, how would you think about doing something like this, and engage him and see how he thinks. Just say, you know, I had this idea and it was to fundraise to sell plants. How do you think we can actually make this work? And let him think about it, and let him encourage him to do the so there you're actually switching from a delegating to a coaching, and you're encouraging him and guiding him to where you really want him to be and where you want it to be.
Right.
So you have it.
Instead of just going in to dominate the idea on how to do things, right? So I think
Yes.
we should
Let
let him
one
think
and
of.
exactly one thing to remember: as Lion leaders, everybody is a volunteer. And there are some people that do not like being pushed into certain things, and you have to respect that. They have
Mhm.
skills in different ways that they bring to the table, and you do not want to turn somebody off because you say it's my way or the highway. You
Right.
cannot do that in a volunteer organization.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I
Yeah,
think.
I think we have a question from Lion Eleanor.
Well,
I can't.
the question is, you spoke about the value of visiting other clubs. Would you consider creating a list of clubs that are conducting virtual meetings to share with us?
No. Yes. Yes. And actually, we participated in a meeting, I think it was the beginning of last week, um, where the district governor's team sat in on a Halliburton meeting where the Minden Club was actually visiting them, and it was done online. So I think that's an excellent question, Lion Eleanor, and I think that's something everybody has access to, or everybody has access to the calendar that is on our A-16 website. So you can see what different clubs are meeting on what different nights if they're using this GoToMeeting tool. There's a lot of clubs that are using their own tools. Some of them are using Zoom. Some of them are using different Skype. They're using different products to do that. But I think that's a good idea, is that maybe what we can do is we can encourage people to and say, here's the upcoming meetings. These might be some meetings that you might want to participate in. Good idea.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we're getting on in our time. Let's go to the next slide. And as we know, we do not have anybody that is in the low interest and the low skill scenario in that quadrant. That quadrant, as Lion Tim mentioned, that quadrant was that whole program was put together by business people, and there are unfortunately there are certain careers and jobs where people do have low interest in doing it and low skill in doing the job. So fortunately, in Lions, we do not need to deal with that because we have somebody that is either extremely interested or has great skill.
All right, now we've
So
been talking a lot, so it's time to get some
put your
questions
hands
or
up.
comments. Or you can type in your comments through the question panels, or you can raise your hand and we'll try to unmute you.
Key word there is try.
Try, yeah, I know sometimes these things, this webinar thing is still new to us. And I do have a question here now. Is there a list of meetings in the directory for clubs doing virtual meetings? Are they doing on the different times as published in the directory?
Maybe unmute Lion Tom, and
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the question is.
right. I don't see Tom with a microphone, so I don't know.
Okay, so let's see. So listed in the, and actually the directory is a good thing to use to find out when people are having their club meetings and their different meetings. However, during this time, some clubs have actually changed their meeting nights because, for example, you may have 5 clubs that meet on a Thursday night, and because we only have one license for District A-16, the first group, the first club gets to choose the time, but the other 4 are unavailable. They can't get that same time. So maybe this is one of the things that Tom is indicating here is, even though you used to meet at Thursday night from 7 o'clock till 8:30, maybe in these times, maybe you could actually meet from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 5:30, because pretty much everybody is pretty much at home still, and you're not we're not out and about as we have been. So you may be able to conduct your meetings at different times. Not sure if that's what Tom meant.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm getting a lot of booking on the use of the GoToMeeting facilities from A-16. And well, I understand some of the clubs are still meeting at their regular meeting time because they have members still working in the daytime. So they have not been able to move the meeting to some other period. But then I believe most of the clubs are still trying to maintain their meeting schedule based on the regular meeting schedule as much as possible. But again, if you're interested to know which club is meeting online these days, I would suggest you go to the go to meeting booking calendar, and it's amazing to see that it's filling up pretty quickly these days. And actually, I have another club trying to book on the same night that it was booked by another club. So yeah, things are filling in quickly, and that the calendar would be a good source for you to go in and see what other clubs are meeting online these days.
Yeah. Yeah, good. And just because like you used to meet at 7 o'clock at night, maybe it's easier now, especially with the traffic, because there's no traffic on the roads. You may be able to start your meetings from 6 and go from 6 to 7 instead of 7 to 8. Options are there.
Right. Okay. So I don't see any other questions, so let's move on to the next slide.
Wait a minute. Tina said, will the presentation be sent out to everyone?
Oh, yes, we'll do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. There's another question just came in.
From Simon.
How do we deal with those people who have neither skill or interest, just there for the social and meal aspect? Elephant in the room.
Good question. Good question, Lion Simon. And those people, they've probably been a lion for a long time and they don't have much of a social life and they look at this as their social life. How do you deal with them? The best thing to do is to try and engage them ask them what they would like to do and encourage them to say, you know what, I would like to do this, or I would like to do that, or I'd like to see our club try this. I'd like to see our club try that. I know there are some people in some of the clubs that they've been a lion for a lot of years and they've pretty much burnt themselves out. But there's still a lot of value because they have a lot of skill. They do have a lot of skill up here. It's just a matter of tapping into it.
Yeah. On the other hand, I always say that sometimes it's just timing. Be patient, and it's just timing, and it's just that maybe the time is not right for that individual, and he or she may be having some other circumstances, issues behind, then the individual has to take care of. So be patient could be one way to handle it. Maybe just keep engaging the individual. Hopefully, by the time that things change, that individual may be able to spend more time in Lions, or maybe then the individual may be able to spend more time to learn new things.
Yeah.
All right. So we are getting to the end of the session now. So I hope that we have given you some information, some ideas to think about, and in terms of understanding the 4 common leadership styles. And again, as I said, there's no one right or wrong style, and it's all circumstances. And I'm hoping that after this session, you will be able to understand a little bit more about this and be able to deploy the different styles in different situations. So what's next? Someone asked a question too through the question panel. For this webinar recording, where can we find it? Now, this webinar recording will be posted onto our A-16 website shortly. Give us a few days and I will get the webmaster of our district to post this up. And you go into our district website, click under menu and click under GLT. Just so you know, the previous webinar recording has been posted. So the plan is to post this and the following webinars for tomorrow onto our website as well. And we always welcome comments and feedback on this session and in overall the way that we have been delivering the webinar sessions to everyone. So if you have any suggestions, send me an email. Now, in closing, I'd like to share with you a quote I picked up from our MDA historian, Lion Reid. It is from the archives of the speeches and writings of our founder, Melvin Jones, on leadership. He says, "It is not given to a great many men in the ordinary conduct of their lives to exercise leadership within a group, yet every member of a Lions Club has this opportunity. Group action, the ability to live with others, is the basis of our civilization. By giving the business and professional men of a community the chance to lead their fellows in activities that redound to the good of the entire community, Lionism is promoting the cause of human advancement. Now, the languages may be a little bit old, but I find that the spirit and the value is very much applicable in today's life. So again, thank you everyone for spending time with us. Keep exploring your journey on leadership development and on exercising your leadership skills, be it in Lions or outside Lions. And thank you again for spending the afternoon with us. Stay safe and be happy. See you some other
Thank
times.
you. Yes.
Bye
Cheers.
now.
Bye.
Or maybe a high five, a virtual high five for everyone. Thank you.
It's
I'm
5 o'clock
signing off now.
somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you, Barry. Okay. Bye bye.